Om Kujandam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Yasya Jnana Prabhavamatulam Ramachandrasya Moham दूरीकृत्वा सकलजगदामद्वयं घोषितं च तं योगीन्द्रं निगमनिलयं ब्रह्मणः पुत्ररूपम् आनन्दाब्धिं गुरुवरमहं श्रीवसिष्ठं प्रपद्ये. Namaste. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of Online Yogavasishta colloquium, brought to you for the first time by Tadvanam Ashramam as part of its Mahashivarathri celebrations. Tadvanam Ashramam, besides this colloquium, has arranged for various activities during the Mahashivarathri festival at the ashram at the Kalladikkode mountain hills. It includes various artistic exhibitions by kids, the Vaidika homas, the holy ash preparation, and the whole night of bliss and happiness. So I invite all of you to the ashram on March 8th, that is the Shivaratri day. This is a public program that is organized by Tadvanam Ashramam every year, and through various activities it tries to propagate the message of Sanatana Dharma to the world. Through this online colloquium in the last few days, we have seen a great deal of philosophical and interesting stories, and we have learned the basic principles, the basic ideas which can help a person to get liberated. We started off by looking at Rama's condition and how he is getting transformed into the self-realization by the great rishis Vasishta and Kaushika. Vasishta, in order to explain the principle of Advaita, of non-duality, the principle of the Indian philosophical system, the principle that liberates man, tries to narrate it through simple, lucid and interesting anecdotes and stories to Sri Rama. And there are numerous stories. We covered a few of them, which included the story of Leela, who understands how the Srishti happens, how the mind creates the world. We covered the story of Karkati, who becomes Suchi, and then later on to Karkati, she meets the king and they come to a deal. We saw the story of Lavana, who becomes a Chandala and he experiences everything that he had to experience in 12 years because of the Rajasuya that he performed. And we learned that whatever is done with the mind is done, and whatever is renounced by the mind is renounced. We saw the story of Janaka. The Jnana Bhumika, Satjnana Bhumikas we covered. All these are really important principles which will help you to analyze, to assess, to assent to your true nature. Unless we focus our attention towards what we want to achieve in life, we might not be able to achieve it. So I request all of you, if you haven't heard these previous episodes carefully and understood the principles, please do listen to them again. You might have questions, put them as comments and we'll try to answer that. And we can make this journey of 11 days as interesting as possible, as useful as possible, and we can together try to attain that goal which has been put forth by our rishis for us. Then we saw the story of, in the last episode, we dealt with the story of Gadhi, who again understands how the Maya works. He wanted to know it, and Srihari himself gives him a chance to understand how this Maya is. So all these stories are the real life histories of liberated souls are the pathways for us to follow that. It is not just for intellectual exercise. It is not intellectual gymnasium. It is for practice. It is for practical usage. As being told in the initial verses of Yoga Vasishta, who is the adhikari for this? A person who is neither baddha nor mukta. One who has the thought that, okay, this world is not what I see. There is something beyond this, something which I need to understand better, something which I need to know beyond this transient world. Those who are realizing this but who have not attained or known what is that, how can I achieve that, for them is the Yoga Vasishta. So you are watching this because you have an inclination towards that. Through the grace of the Guru Parampara, through the grace of Lord, you at least know that there is something which I need to learn beyond what I see in the physical world. So you are blessed. Believe it and go down the path whichever suits you. It need not be follow Yoga Vasishta. It is fit for some people, it might not be fit for some others. Bhinna ruchihi lokaha. The world is of different taste. So our rishis have prescribed different food items. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna says this. With the same fish, a mother prepares soup for the grandfather who is sick and who does not have that much of an appetite. She prepares the pulao for the kids. She prepares the curry for the father with the same fish. In a similar fashion, the truth is the same. According to our taste, our appetite, our level of intellectual development, our level of spiritual development, our level of mental development, the rishis have prescribed various pathways. Yoga Vasishta is the Jnana Marga, but clearly it doesn't tell you not to follow any other path. It just tells that through any other path you will at the end come here and you will be stuck here. From there, how you ascend, at least you will know that. Every path at the end gets down to a place where you reach the ahankara. You need to cut it down. You reach the last stage of ascending to the self-realization. Be it karma marga, be it bhakti marga, you will reach a stage where you need to renounce yourself, and you just be the Brahman. This particular dilemma is being described in the history of spirituality forever. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna was well devoted to Mother Kali, and when he was doing the Advaita Parishilana, Advaita Abhyasa under the Guru Totapuri, he later on says, at one stage Tota asked me to, Nanta, that's what he used to call Totapuri, Nanta asked me to forget my Mother Kali. Sri Ramakrishna was so devoted to Mother Kali that he says, I couldn't do that. I asked Nanta, how can I do that? She is my everything. Then Nanta told, take the knowledge, sword of knowledge, and cut that image down. And Bhagavan obeys his Guru. And he says, I mentally took that sword of knowledge and I cut my mother mercilessly into pieces. And then he ascends to the realization, self-realization. Because anything that is related to Nama and Rupa, the name and the form, cannot get you to the self-realization. That is for sure. Only when Nama and Rupa are renounced, are cut away, are gone, then alone will the self lighten up. Then alone you becomes enlightened. Then alone you becomes Buddha. So it is very clear throughout the history that anything that you do at the end culminates at the realization of the self, and there you need to know exactly how to approach it. So regardless of the path you take, at the end you might be benefited by the knowledge that is being shared in Yoga Vasishta. This has been shared at multiple other places also, but clearly, without any doubt, without any confusion, repeatedly stating the same principle over and over and over again. It is very rare that you will find such books. So you are blessed to listen to this. I am blessed to be able to present this. Now let us get into the life of Shikhidhwaja, which is being told as which we are taking as the next story that needs to be told in this 11 days online Yoga Vasishta colloquium. Shikhidhwaja Vakhyana is the story of Shikhidhwaja, which comes in the Nirvana Prakarana of Yoga Vasishta. This is a very important story. It is to be understood very precisely so that you would have a clear understanding of what is it that you need to be aware of. This is very crucial, very critical, and I would say at least 40-50% of the Yoga Vasishta's message to the world is contained in this. At least to me. So the story begins when Sri Rama, in the middle of conversation, asks about how to live in the world and how to lead a worldly life. When this Atmajnana comes, you realize that the world is unreal, and then what is the point in leading the worldly life? This thought, this question arose. And Vasishta says that with the mind you renounce the world. You put your mind into the cage of Sarvam Brahmamayam. So make the mind see the world through that cage, the Sarvam Brahmamayam cage. And you live like Shikhitvaja. This brings up the question to Rama, okay, who was Shikhitvaja? I haven't heard him. Can you please elaborate? And Vasishta starts to tell the history of Shikhitvaja. In the previous Dwapara Yuga, Vasishta says, because it was the Treta Yuga which comes before the Dwapara. So he says, in the previous Dwapara Yuga, under the 7th Manu, in Malava country, in the country named Malava, there lived a king called Shikhitvaja. Shikhitvaja was a great warrior, a great just king. He had abundance of everything in his country. He took care of his countrymen as his children. He was a perfect ruler. He was revered by every king for his knowledge about the administration and the activities that he conducts in the country. And he was adorned with a wife who is equally competent. She was the daughter of Surashtra Raja, the king of Surashtra, and her name was Chudala. So Shikhitvaja and Chudala, they both started living in the country. They had a very great life. They enjoyed their youth. They wandered around the kingdom and engaged in various activities as couples. They always had great love for each other, and they were like the best couples, the Parvati Parameshwaras, who were living in the world. One person gets a pain, the other person cries. One becomes happy, the other becomes happy. When the king gets tensed in the worldly affairs of administration, Chudala would help him. Chudala will give him advices. Chudala will console him. So likewise, their life went on without any trouble, without any concern, without any hindrance, and slowly they thought that they are getting aged. So age is something which doesn't stop for anybody. The time, the age, it continues to grow as you grow. Nothing can stop it. The hair become white, the skin becomes dry, and the teeth becomes, they will go away. You would attain Jara and you would not be able to enjoy the world as you were able to do. The same thing happened with Chudala and Shikhidhwaja. They really thought that okay, maybe there is something that we need to do about this at this time, and they started inquiring about what can be done to make their life more enjoyable in the time of this old age. So they were approaching old age and they started discussing about what can be done, and they found out that the best thing that you can do is to do the Atma Vichara, to understand the transient nature of the world and probably prepare yourself to renounce it. So they started discussing amongst themselves about the Atma Jnana, the Atma Vichara. They started discussing the Vedanta Shastra. They started discussing about the self and the various paths in which the self can be attained and so on. They always depended on the discussion with each other. They enjoyed it. From morning till evening they used to discuss about various aspects of the Vedanta, of the self, and they used to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into the sacred texts, and they used to discover new truths out of them. They used to discuss newer ideas, newer ways in which it can be interpreted with each other, and the days went peacefully, happily, calmly. They practiced it, they enjoyed it, they did karmas, homas prescribed in it, and so on. The time passed. All this while, since they started doing the Atma Vichara, the Raja was doing it for gaining the knowledge. But Chudala actually started doing the Vichara day and night. The others were discussions, intellectual discussions. But Chudala within herself started thinking about this Atman and the way in which she can get into it. She did that day and night. She did that when she was working, she did that when she was resting. She did that when she was bathing, she did that when she was walking. Day and night, in every activity that she does, she did this Atma Vichara. What is real, what is not real? So, one thing that we need to learn, I am just giving a pause to the story. One thing which we need to learn from this is that Atma Vichara is not specified that you sit at a corner, close your eyes and do. It should be done every moment of your life if you want to progress fast. And it is not difficult. Now I am talking to you, I have to keep my mind reminded that okay, this is unreal. And what is real is not the person who is talking. What is real is not the word that is coming out. What is real is not the impulse that creates the thought. What is real is not the thought itself. What is real is not the first spark of that I-ness which thinks I am the talker. What is real is the Shuddha Bodha, the consciousness that remains intact without it being uttering a word and making this Jada to speak. Making this inert thing to speak to you is being done by that Bodha, and that Bodha is the real self, the real me. At every stage of your life, you can practice this. You just need to have little Shraddha, little concentration. Shraddha is not really concentration, but yeah, little of awareness, to put it that way. Little be aware of what you are to do, how you are to do. So Chudala started doing this every moment. She determined that I will not let this vichara go away even for a moment. She started thinking, what is this body which is working? She would be working. What is this body which is working? Is it Chetana? Is it the Chaitanya? The consciousness? The life? The existing? And she would realize, no, this body is changing minute by minute. The Chaitanya, the myself have not changed. I cannot change. So this body is not real. Then what? Are these indriyas, these sensory organs real? What they perceive is real? No. What they perceive gets transmitted and it is interpreted, it is connected with the memories. So this indriyas cannot be real. Is the intellect real? No, because the intellect is driven by the memories and it fades away. What is real cannot fade away. So intellect cannot be real. Is the mind real? No, it is always changing. What is real, what is truth cannot change. It should remain as is. Is the ahankara real? The I that comes out of your mind, the impulse? No, because it comes up and goes down. It is again moving. What remains behind the ahankara, which by its mere presence makes all this work, is I. This philosophy, this principle is being told in various places. I'm recollecting all of them. In the presence of the Bodha, everything inert is working. Like how the electricity is, in the presence of electricity, all this fan, light, everything works. The electricity cannot be seen. The fan can be seen. The fan will not rotate even for a moment without the electricity. What makes the fan rotate? If you ask a kid who doesn't know the philosophy of electricity, he would say fan is rotating on its own. You switch it off without him knowing, and then he would surprised to see that fan has stopped, and then you switch it on. You have played this with your kids, right? So the inert fan is being made to rotate by the presence of the electricity, which is the Chaitanya, which is the energy. In a similar fashion, the inert body, mind, indriyas, chitta, ahankara, whatever the karanas that you can think of, are being made to act, to work by the presence of Chaitanya, the Bodha. That is you. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. Yonda pravishya mama vacham imam prasuptam sanjeevayathyakhila shaktidhara swadhamna. You go and look into the sacred texts and you will see the same repeated at various places in the same format. So Chudala keeps thinking about the self, and this continues day and night. When working, when not working, she always keeps remembering about the self, and at the end she realizes the self. She becomes an Atmajnani. So she becomes not moved by anything. Akshobhya. She doesn't desire anything, she doesn't want anything, she doesn't reject anything. She becomes steady, sthita prajna. She acts according to the wish of her husband, but she has no desire. She acts as a queen, but she has no thought of her being the doer. She remains in that palace, enjoying all the whatever comes her way. She didn't run away. She just took what came her way and enjoyed it without the thought of I am the enjoyer. So Advaita principle does not prohibit you from enjoyment. We'll discuss this in detail when the story unfolds later on with Shikhidwaja and others. So Chudala went into a state of absolute bliss. What happens when that happens is that she started gaining her youth again. She started becoming younger again. She started appearing very graceful and beautiful once again. And this was noticed by Shikhidwaja. Something is changing in my wife. And Shikhidwaja once very, very fondly asks her, "Oh dear, I see that you are regaining the youth. I see you more beautiful than ever. What is happening? What magic are you doing?" And to this, Chudala tells the truth. Chudala tells that I have accepted all that you see around, all the inert things, as something else. And I have realized that I am something else. And that is why I am looking young. I am not any of the what is being seen. I am not any of the things that moves, roams around. I am not any of the things that the senses perceive. I am something else. And that is why I am looking young. I am happy for the enjoyments that I have experienced. I am happy for the enjoyments that I have not experienced. And that is why I am looking young. I am neither happy nor angry. I am content within myself, and that is why I am looking young. In the heart, which is clear as the sky, I enjoy in myself, and that is why I am looking young. And she says a great verse which I found profound. Only an Atmajnani can proclaim that without any second thought. And that was told by Chudala. Chudala says, Jagadam Prabhurevasmi na kinjin matra rupini. Jagadam Prabhurevasmi na kinjin matra rupini ityatmanyeva tushyami tenaham Srimati sthita. I consider myself as the Lord of this world and not this small body, not limited to this Kinjin Matra Rupini, the small feature, small creature. I am the Lord of Supreme Lord of the world. And iti, thinking so, I am happy in myself. Atmani tushyami. Tenasmi Srimati sthita. That is why I am looking young. Swami Vivekananda at one place says that the person who has renounced the world, the sannyasi, is the Lord of the world. He stands on the world. The same is being told by Chudala when she arrives at the Atma Jnana. In that ecstasy of Atmananda, she says, Jagadam Prabhureva Asmi. I am the Lord of the world. And what else can make me happy than myself? If you are the Lord, then you are to be happy on yourself. Tenasmi Srimati sthita. That is why I am young. Likewise, through a lot of verses, Chudala explains her state very clearly without any scope for doubt that she has attained the knowledge. Shikhitwaja laughs at it. Shikhitwaja was thinking that Chudala is just telling some jokes to him. Shikhitwaja was not able to conceive the idea that Atmajnana can be can be achieved, or you can be Atmajnani by being at the palace. He never had this conception. He thought you will have to go to some hermitage and do penance. We'll see that later. So he said that you are just making jokes, and I like the way you make jokes. I just asked you for what is the reason for your youth, and you are telling that you are the world's Lord. I like it. You always do this with me. So continue doing. We'll see again. And then he goes for his daily routines by just rejecting it as a childish talks of Chudala or kiddish jokes. So when Shikhidhwaja leaves, Chudala thinks, what a pity. I tried to explain my realization to him and he doesn't understand this. I tried to make him realize what I am going through so that he can also enjoy this Brahmanandam with me, the bliss of Brahman with me. But alas, he doesn't see that in me. He doesn't see me as somebody who can achieve Atmajnana. Likewise, she gets sad at one moment about not being able to help her husband to ascend to the realm of self-realization. And the days pass by in a similar fashion. Chudala always remains in her own composed nature, and Shikhidhwaja engages in the worldly activities, in the affairs of the country, and in the spiritual discussions that they used to have with each other. As I told, Chudala was sad in her mind for not being able to make her husband realize the self, but she continued living with him, and the days passed by, and one day Chudala, even though doesn't have any desire, she felt an interest to learn the knowledge of, or to gain the siddhi, the power to levitate and to go through the sky. So she secludes herself in one place and she practices the required prana exercises, which will help in gaining the powers. So this question from Rama arises that how does one attain these siddhis? How does one attain these siddhis? By controlling the prana. So Vasishta explains, for attaining the Akashagamana siddhi, you have to remove all the vasanas from your mind and have only the focus on what you want to achieve, and then you have to bring the prana vayus under your control. For this you will have to have all the yama niyamas done. You will have to get seated, that is the asana sthirata, which has to be steady, and then you have to get the prana under control through pranayamas. And he says various ways in which you can control the prana. You have to control your food, you have to control your anger, your desire, your all this yama niyama principles, and you have to get this prana under your control. Once the prana is under control, then with the help of prana you can control the other systems of the body, and through that you will get the kundalini Shakti, and you can do whatever that you want to get your body to. So again Rama has this question of, okay, what is this Kundalini? How can I get that under control? So again Vasishta explains the principle of Kundalini. He tells, okay, in the body there are tens of thousands of nadis, and one which controls all of them is called Andraveshtika. This Andraveshtika nadi is originating from the navel of humans, and it goes as a spiral. Inside this Andraveshtika nadi is a tremendous power which is called the Kundalini, which is in the form of a serpent which is facing down. It has 3 layers and it is facing down, and you have to wake it up. In general body, regular people, it travels through the body up and down, up and down. But once you control it, you can make it steady, and you can make that Kundalini to under your control. Then you would be able to gain any siddhis, and it will result in the removal of adhis and vyadhis, or the ailments of the body and mind. So Rama questions again, okay, how is this adhi and vyadhi created? How are they created? And Vasishta explains about that. Vyadhi is the disease to the body. How is it coming? It is coming because of the body, the nadis not being able to perform its duty. The nadis become weak, they become thick, the prana cannot travel through them, and that is the reason why the bodily diseases come. How do they become thick and all? It is because of the vasana. Vasana gives to Ichha. The Ichha will make your body work and do things that it is not supposed to do, and it will weaken the nadis. So the prana cannot move through that, and that becomes thick, and then your body will have diseases. This is Vyadhi. Adhi is the Vasanamaya, or the mental stress. How does that occur? There are 2 types of adhis. One is Samanya and another is Sara. Samanya is the adhi that you carry in this life. The things that you couldn't get, the desires that are unfulfilled, those will be the reason for the adhi in this life, which is called Samanya. And once you get the desire fulfilled, once you are able to fulfill your desire, this Samanya Adhi goes away. The Sara is the Adhi that you carry from life to life, and this will not get removed until you realize the self. So Rama again questions. So these are question answers. These are not monologues as you might feel now. Rama asks, how does this Adhi get converted into Vyadhi? And again Vasishta says that the Adhi, which is the mental state, it will definitely impact the bodily state. Haven't you seen that a person who is angry, tremendously angry, shivers? The same way any mental state is impacting your body. This is written in a text thousands of years old. I just want you to realize this and interpret it in your own ways what our rishis were. I am not a medical professional, so I cannot comment when this was discovered by the modern medicine. But at least I know that in India it was discovered much before that. So the mental stress will give rise to the physical diseases, and the way in which you can remove it is by making your mind happy, mind pleasant, mind blissful. That is why the Atma Jnana alone is the ultimate cure for this disease, because any other enjoyment, happiness will fade away. This alone will remain. This alone will ensure that your body also is taken care of, even though the Atma Jnani does not care about it. So the Adhis will impact your body, it will affect your body becomes, again the nadis become weaker, what the food that you eat will become venom, and your body will get into the vyadhi. And the way in which you can avoid it is by making your mind blissful, Adhi free. So Rama again asks, okay, how does the Kundalini help you to gain the Akashagamna Siddhi? And Vasishta again repeats or goes back into that discussion. The yogis who have controlled the mind and the pranas, they practice the Puraka and Kumbhaka, and with that they will make the Kundalini to wake up and rise through the Sushumna. So the Kundalini goes up, it spreads through all the nerves together and collects all of them and makes it steady like a stick. At that time, with this Kumbhaka, a person can lift his body into the air. These are very cryptically told in Yoga Vasishta, but if you look into those specific texts that deal with this subject, you will get more knowledge. So, this is the way in which you raise the Kundalini, or with that you raise or you uplift your body. In a similar fashion, if you want, you can raise it through the Sushumna, break the Brahmarandhra on top, and then you can get the Nirvana. There are other ways in which you can use the Kundalini to see the people who are celestial, to get the blessings from them, to get the siddhis like Anima, Mahima, etc. So Rama again asks, okay, how does this Anima, Mahima, siddhis will work? Anima is to become small like an atom, Mahima is to grow big like a mountain. We have heard this in various stories that Hanuman grew like a mountain and pulled the mountain out and came back. How is this possible? If this body is gross, how can you make it subtle? And again Vasishta explains this. And here Vasishta clearly hints to the Atma Jnana. Till now, whatever was done was not the real stuff. So Vasishta says Atma Jnani, by his bhavana, he can make anything happen or not happen. What is this world? It is your bhavana, it is your imagination. If you can have that sudrita bhavana, that strong vision of having something, it will happen. Of not having something, it will not happen. Atma Jnani, whatever the sankalpa he does becomes true. The nature will have to obey to it, because the nature is his sankalpa. And in his sankalpa, he does imagination as if he is very small. And that imagination is so strong that it will happen. Your world is created by you, so you can modify it if you realize it. Like how a director of a movie can cut and edit the scenes of the movie as he wishes. In a similar fashion, you created this world. Once you realize that okay, this world is created by me, you are in a position to edit it, to update it, to remove it, to delete it, whatever you want. So Anima Mahima is nothing. That is why Atmajnanis doesn't care even a bit to the Siddhis. Even a bit. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna or Bhagavan Ramana, they never demonstrated any Siddhis. Because they realize that this Siddhi is useless. It can make some people wonder with a wow for some time. But in the reality, Siddhi is an entanglement for you. For if one gets stuck at the level of Siddhi, he will never progress. He has to leave it and go forward to realize the self. All these things will come along the way. Bhagavan himself in his stories, Sri Ramakrishna, he says that at some time I had these coming to me. I told to mother to take them away. He says at some time his body was so beautiful that people used to flock to him. And he told mother that take away this outwardly glow of my body, give me inwardly glow. And it did happen. So the yogis, the great souls are never bothered about anything that is relating to this dream world. They are bothered about only the Atma Vastu. But somehow our Chudala got a small interest in that. She took the initiative to get the Akashagamana Siddhi, and just like that she got it. Because she is Atmajnani. She the moment the Atma Siddhi is the base for every other Siddhi. Once you have the Atma Siddhi, any other Siddhi is very much obedient to it, very much substandard to it. You can just grab it like that with no additional effort. Atma Siddhi is the greatest Siddhi. Knowing the self is the greatest Siddhi, greatest power. Once you have that, every other power will be your servants. And you wouldn't be baffled by any of those. That's another story. But Atma Siddhi is the greatest Siddhi. So she gains that with no time. And with that, she is able to travel through the sky. She gains that power. And she travels here and there, comes back to the palace, and she remains there. All this while her only worry was, how do I make my husband also realize this and make him drink this nectar of Atmanubhuti, of self-realization, self-experience. She tried her level best by discussing with him while they were in private, by giving him more insights into the realization, by various discussions and all these things. But the king's mind never found peace. It just kept on jumping from one place to another, and from one to another and one to another. Thus, Chudala, who was a free soul, was living with this king Shikhidwaja, and Chudala was trying to make Shikhidwaja ascend to the level of self-realization through various activities. Does Chudala gain success in that? Will Shikhidwaja be able to achieve the self-realization easily? Does he listen to Chudala and become liberated soul? Or has the destiny found another path for Shikhidwaja? We'll see these in the upcoming episode. We'll see how Shikhidwaja makes decisions that does not help him, and Chudala, being a devoted wife, how she makes a plan to get Shikhidwaja back on track. So until we meet again in the next episode, keep remembering the messages which were delivered today. Remember the magnificent, profound verse from Chudala which says, a self-realized person is the ruler of the world. So until we meet again, Namaste, Hari Om, Tat Sat.